So that's what brings me to these Democrat Socialists of America. Now, I have never paid too much attention to them. The main introduction I got to this group was when literally on 10/8/2023, the day after the disgusting, awful massacre in Israel, they gathered in Times Square, blaming it all on Israel and celebrating what had happened to the innocent Israeli babies. They thought it was fantastic. They were literally in the streets of Times Square celebrating it all and blaming it all on Israel. Okay, who's that again? I said, Democrat who? Socialists of America. Now they've got, that's what AOC is. It's effectively what Bernie Sanders is. It's 100% actually what Mamdani is, the likely next mayor of New York City. And now in New York, we have a group called the Democratic Socialists of America. That was the group that was out there in Times Square. And they're organized, they're enthused, they are feeling the wind at their backs because of Mamdani, and they're explaining explicitly what they're all about. This was posted by somebody who works for the Manhattan Institute, who I guess bothered to go to their little convention and get tape of them talking about their plans. And this is Mamdani's party, okay? So when this guy, our understanding is he's extremely close to Mamdani. His name, you're going to hear the soundbite, his name is Daniel Goulden. He is a member of the New York City Democratic Socialists of America steering committee. And per Stu Smith, who's with the Manhattan Institute, who posted this, Stu says that this guy, Daniel Goulden, worked on Mamdani's campaign, helped write his platform when it comes to trans policy, says that he regularly meets with Mamdani and Mamdani's staff, and said at this conference, quote, the Democratic Socialists of America have regular meetings with Mamdani, let alone his team. His policy director is my friend, says this guy you're about to hear from, and I've been working with his campaign manager for well over a year. Well, what is it they've been working on? Take a listen to this.
Zohran is literally attempting to do what conservatives say, we want to do, which is provide gender-affirming care to anyone who wants it for free. And we're going to ship people, we're going to fly people in and pay for their hotel rooms. And we're going to do all of the Fox News. But most importantly is we collaborated with the Zohran Mamdani campaign on his trans rights platform. And what we explicitly wanted to do was use the power of New York City to provide free gender-affirming care. And I say free in case insurance companies decide to boot us off. Free gender-affirming care, not just to people in New York City, but across the country. With Zohran, we're in basically the best possible position to seize state power that we can be in because, we're like this, right? DSA has regular meetings with him, let alone his team. His policy director is my friend. I've been working with his campaign manager for well over a year. New York City could provide trans health care for every trans person in the country who, can't afford it. And it would be a blip on our radar.
Okay. Just for listening audience, everybody on the panel was wearing a mask. They were wearing a mask. This just happened. You couldn't quite hear him as well in the beginning because mid-comments, he took off his mask so we could hear. It was very important that we hear his comments that New York City is going to provide so-called gender-affirming care for everyone in the nation. That the plan is that they could be flown to New York. We would put them up in hotels. They would be given, quote, free, meaning the taxpayers of New York City would pay for it. Chopping off of minors' penises. That's what you're going to be paying for if you live in New York with this Zohran Mamdani from the guy who says we're like this, with the fingers crossed. We're that tight. We're working with him. We're the ones he got his platform from. This is horrifying. And my question is, I love Andrew Schultz. He's a frequent guest of the show, and he's brilliant. He's been saying nice things about Mamdani, and I get it. He's talking about affordability and so on, and he's a lifelong Democrat now, an independent. I really want him to look at that. I want him to look at that and tell me how he feels about it because I trust his opinion on things like this. He's not a nutcase. There's zero chance he supports this. And tell me how people are going to vote for that. How? Your thoughts, Michael?
Looking at that clip, I am reminded that all stereotypes are true. It's always the ones you most expect. If you told me, Michael, close your eyes, draw a picture of the Democrat Socialists meeting, I would have drawn exactly the image that we saw there. And the way that he's bragging about this, it's illustrative because he says, these conservatives are always prattling on about how we want to trans everybody and fly people in and pay for all these mutilating surgeries. And why don't we just do that? Why don't we
Well,
just
we
do that?
do.
As if he is saying, yes, they're right about us. We do want to do this. Sometimes you'll hear Democrats say, oh, these Republicans are fear-mongering, and that's not real. No. Listen to the Democrat Socialist chief over there says, no, we do want to do that. And so the next squishy Democrat defense is, well, look, some people want to do this, but they don't have any real political power in the party. And what the Mamdani election tells you is, yes, they do. They have taken over the party in many ways. AOC is a top presidential candidate, and Mamdani is probably going to be the next mayor of New York. So these people do have political power. When someone tells you who he is, believe him. The conservatives have been right about everything the whole time. In fact, this is just generally true of social conservatives. You know, any debate that pops up over abortion, over marriage, over trans, over whatever, they'll say, oh, you conservatives, you and your slippery slope arguments, you're always worried that the sky is going to fall. Every single slippery slope argument ever made by social conservatives has come true. This guy is admitting it. So we all agree. And if they don't change something in New York soon, it's going to be a political reality.
And not just New York. I mean, AOC, as we just discussed, could be ascending to the presidency, to at least the presidential level. And there's not a thing that Zohran Mamdani believes that she doesn't believe too. From defund the police to free so-called gender-affirming care for trans people and minors. It's amazing. Where do these absolute losers think they're going to get all this money from? Literally, who? There aren't enough taxpayers in New York to fund gender-affirming care for everyone in the nation to come to New York. The hotels are already full of the illegal immigrants. It's insane. That was far enough left under Eric Adams. And now, by the way, Eric Adams is saying nice things about how he had some great meeting with the Mamdani team. Okay, this guy will kiss anybody's ass just to get a job at this point. You know, first it was Trump's, so he got rid of that federal prosecution. Now he's going to buddy up to Zohran Mamdani because he knows he's losing. But he wants a post in that administration? I mean, the only one left to save New York is sadly the sex pest, the lover of the fannies and killer of the grannies, Andrew Cuomo. Curtis Lewa quoted that. That wasn't me. Curtis is still in there, but he has no chance. No Republican does. I love him. I'd vote for him in a heartbeat, but I'm just saying. So that's it. That's what New York has. But just zooming out, this party, to your point, is ascending. The American people are turning to these socialists as in the same way that the Republicans turned to Trump. You know, they were sick of the Republican Party and the Republican dogma. And there's another girl who spoke at this Democrat Socialist of America convention, whatever it was. And she said, first of all, I just want to start by saying everybody here hates the Democratic Party. So I get it. They're frustrated with it. They don't think that they're standing up for what they believe in. And there's a large faction of Democrats, in particular younger people, who are feeling totally energized by these people because of things like they can't afford a home. No young person can afford a home. And they think that these people are going to help them. And they've been totally fucking brainwashed by K through 12 woke schools and Ivy League colleges on things like race and oppression and oppressor narratives. So they think that Israel's the devil and the Palestinians are the truly noble ones, and they hate what the Democrat Party and America has done in supporting Israel. And so they're completely that's why they were out there chanting in favor of Hamas on 10/8. That's what they find attractive about this group, Michael. And it's real. We have to pay attention to it.
Certainly. I mean, you can see it just focusing on the left. Now in New York, the debate, the broad spectrum of politics goes from, should we fill up all the hotels with illegal alien gangsters, or should we fill up all the hotels with transgenderists who want to chop off their body parts? That's it. Right. That's the debate. Okay, that means that New York is quite left at the moment. But more broadly, if you look at the right, you see that there's a similar phenomenon going on, and we even use similar language for it. So the left has become woke, and for the right, we say we take the red pill. You know, we use the imagery from The Matrix. But it's much the same thing. It's to say we've been living under an illusion, and we've come out of that illusion, and we realize that what we took for granted in our political order was actually just imagined and illusory, and there's a more gripping reality that we have to deal with. The way that they're dealing with that on the left is to embrace socialism and all manner of radical ideologies. And the way that people are dealing with it on the right is to embrace I think at the best way they're dealing with it is embracing a more classical understanding of politics that's more substantive, that's less obsessed with procedure, that really deals with virtue and what is most conducive to our flourishing, that's even open to discussing concepts like the common good. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff there, but this happens regularly in politics. It's a cyclical phenomenon that at a certain point you say, okay, our political order is just kind of fake, and it's not, even our top line economic numbers don't reflect the reality on the ground if young people can't buy houses and are stuck under mountains of debt. So we have to accept that. We're not going to remain in the 1990s consensus for very long. We have to deal with what's changing in our politics. But we can either go march with keffiyeh-wearing Hamas supporters and embrace socialism for the trans illegal alien gangsters of Guatemala, or we can go back to the very best of our country and pull something up that even the Republican Party, even the conservative movement has neglected, something deeper in our wellspring, but that is nevertheless patriotic, pro-American, conducive to the common good. I mean, I'm seeing that happen on the right. That's what won the day in November. That's what the MAGA movement is largely about. That's what the new right is largely about. But regardless, we've got these much more polarized extremes now. And if we don't win those elections, we're going to be facing a very different country.
It's happening. It's happening before our very eyes. I mean, did you see that chart that was all over X this weekend on the homeownership graph over the past 50 years? And it was showing, hold on a second, I just saw it. Okay, yeah. Okay, a mere 12% of 30-year-olds are married and own a home right now. 12% of 30-year-olds. And the graph shows it's basically, okay, from 1950, the percentage of 30-year-olds who were both married and homeowners, okay, 1950, it was over 50%. And in 2020, it is under 15%. In 2020, it is under 15. Like I said, it's 12% of people who are 30 and also married and own a home. They're not getting married and they cannot afford a home. That's the reason. The reason they don't own a home is because they cannot afford one. I'm sure they'd love to own one, but they cannot afford it. And we just continue to laugh at people like Mamdani, who is an absurd character when it comes to policies. But we're not actively fixing the problem that is driving people to him. Since President Trump was sworn in, his administration has made enormous progress at a breakneck pace. But don't forget, while they are moving mountains for the good of the nation, you've got your personal savings to worry about. And one of the best ways to look after your savings is through diversification, particularly with gold, like from Birch Gold Group. In the past 12 months, the value of gold has increased by 40%. And Birch was an advertiser on this show 12 months ago. If you had purchased then, you'd be 40% richer today. Now's the time. Central banks continue to bolster demand for gold by burying in record quantities. Global instability and tension is high, and Birch Gold makes owning physical gold so easy. Easily convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or buy some to store in your home safe. Just text MK to the number 989898, and Birch Gold is going to send you a free info kit on gold. Look into it, see if it's right for you. There's no obligation, just useful information to help you make a decision. With an A+ rating, with a Better Business Bureau, and tens of thousands of happy customers, take control of your savings today. Text MK to 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.